Kathy, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Good. How about you? Thank you
I'm
for
doing really
having me
well.
on.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you reaching out. I love when people reach out, fans of the show, always welcome to say hello. So you reached out because you've heard my conversation with Cindy Kaza. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, a while ago. So it's just, random. And I just like to just listen to other people's podcasts just so I can make my own, because I have my own podcast too. So I just
Mhm.
like to listen to other people and just see what they're doing. And I just love everything about your podcast too, Pursuit of Happiness, and allowing us to come on and talk about this topic, which is cool.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, your podcast is Ignite Your Power.
Yes.
Pretty awesome. How long you been doing Ignite Your Power?
I don't know. I think maybe 6 months, 7 months, almost not a year yet, but almost there. So I have, I think, like 30 something episodes already.
Wow.
So yeah,
Congrats on doing that. I know a lot of
thank
people
you.
start it and stop
Yeah,
it and quit, and
yeah.
you're already ahead of the game. So congrats on that. Kathy, one of the reasons I accepted your request to be on here, which I appreciate, you're a certified life and health coach.
Yes.
I'm always up for talking to life and health coaches. I love just diving into life and trials and tribulations, and we're going to do that today. Real quick,
Awesome.
I would love your definition. What the hell is a certified life and health coach? Because I feel like people just say, I'm a life coach, I'm a health coach. Like, I
Yeah.
want to know, I want a definition of what that is so people completely understand what you do.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, I mean, this is kind of like a new thing, right? It's coaching, life and health coaching, but getting a certification, right? So we actually went to school or went to a certified school, and then we take courses to become and really understand how to coach other people about their health and life. So, like life coaching is more for, like financial or relationships, right? Health is more physical on your body, like how to eat healthier or how to lose weight, things like that with your life that a lot of us struggle with on a daily basis. So, so I did go to school for it. I think it was like a 6 month course, but there's like some accredited schools and some not. I mean, it's not really highly regulated right now, but I think it will be more cracked down like as the time goes on and as this field keeps growing and growing, and which it is at an exponential rate. So I'm just a certified coach and I'm able to really help anybody through health and life coaching. And it's two separate things. Like you either have a certification for health or life coaching, but I have both. So I went to a program that combined both of them.
That's awesome. And was it your trials and tribulations that caused you, I guess you can say, to get into this
Yeah.
field?
Yes, it was. Well, I've always loved helping other people in general, but after going through infertility and then finally getting my diagnosis with endometriosis, which is a chronic illness with no cure, unfortunately, at the moment. And the cool part is this month is actually endometriosis awareness month. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's like a time for people to understand endometriosis. It really causes a lot of pain. But through my infertility journey, I was finally able to get a diagnosis after 20 years of not knowing what I had. And that caused my infertility. And then through that very, very dark period of my life, I was depressed, full of anxiety, and I actually overcame all that after finally having my daughter naturally, because we did go through IVF at the time too. And then that led to me to have a miscarriage. Right before our second round of IVF, my husband and I, we found out we were pregnant naturally. So through like everything what I've been through, it led me into life coaching and health coaching for some reason. I just felt like I wanted to give people hope and to help other women specifically. I mean, I help both men and women, but I think women, health is more connected to my tribulations in life. So that's what I'm more passionate about, helping other women. And I just felt alone, like when you go through infertility, it's kind of like a taboo topic, especially in the Asian community. Growing up, we don't talk about women's health, we don't talk about infertility issues. And So I was able to, yeah, do that. And I just want other women knowing, like, if I can help in any way, I want to, because I was literally alone. I felt like I was alone at the time. But through going on Instagram and finding my community, a lot of women actually have endometriosis. 1 in 10 women have it, or women, if they were assigned women at birth, 1 in 10. And then, yeah, a lot of people have like miscarriages and a lot of health issues. So, and infertility issues, unfortunately, at this time. So, it's
If you
something
don't,
that I love to talk about.
if you don't mind, can you explain what
Yeah.
endometriosis is for our listeners?
Yes. Yes. So endometriosis is like, I guess the real definition. There's a lot of terms online that are incorrect, but it's just it's like cells like the endometrium, go outside and actually implant and make lesions into your body. So it's actually a whole body disease. It's not just affecting the women product, women areas, so it can like be on your diaphragm, it can be on all the organs, and it just causes so much pain, like debilitating pain, that like you literally can't move. And you get like it's called endo flares, where you literally feel like your inside is burning so badly, and the only way to get rid of the pain is just to wait for it to like leave. And it just feels like this burning sensation that can literally cause you to like throw up and just be in fetal position. And the only thing right now that can really help with endometriosis is actually getting surgery, or like just putting a hot press on and then taking painkillers until like it subsides. But it's a chronic illness, and it can come at any time, unfortunately. So it's kind of compared to as like something with cancer, like a cancerous cell, like it moves and it's so complex.
Did this play a role in your infertility, or is that something completely different? It
Yes.
did.
No, it did. It did. So that's how I was able to understand that um, that endometriosis was causing my infertility issues. And a lot of women who have infertility actually have endometriosis too. So it like kind of coincides. And at the time, my IVF doctor actually was, he actually knew about endometriosis and like this chronic condition. So he was able to like help me through it, and which is helpful because unfortunately in, our society, or like the medical system right now, endometriosis is not a very known type of disease that people can diagnose, and it's kind of hard to diagnose as well. So that's why it took 20 years for me to get a diagnosis, but usually it takes around 7 to 10 years for somebody to get finally diagnosed with endometriosis.
Wow, why so long? Are the symptoms and the signs not there for people to read?
Yeah, there are signs and symptoms. It's just that the medical system is not trained on detecting endometriosis. So this is why it's so important for us to advocate, like people with endometriosis. We really try to speak up. And honestly, another thing is, like they cast period pains as in, like they think endometriosis is like a period pain problem, which is
Hmm.
not, right? So it can have issues like period pains, like you can have heavy flow and you're just like in so much pain associated with periods. But, it doesn't happen just on a monthly basis. It can happen more often, like, all the time. It just depends like how bad it is for person to person. So it just depends on that person, but it really is like a chronic illness, like I said, and it's caused from like inflammation in our bodies and epigenetics, etc. Like I could go on, but the main basis about it is, our medical system doesn't do a good job of detecting it, and it's hard to detect as well. The only way you can really get a diagnosis is through laparoscopy, like surgery, to
Hmm.
go have someone go in to see if they can find this endometrial cells or lesions in your body. And any surgery can be a big deal. Luckily for me, though, my story is I had ovarian cysts, so they're called endometriomas. So they're from like literally endometriosis, and they're filled with like this endometriosis, like uh what is it, like liquid, so it looks like this chocolate. So it's a nickname is called chocolate cyst, which is kind of funny,
Wow. Okay.
but gross at the same time. But so ultrasound technician was able to detect that through ultrasounds. But I had to do, but at first I was diagnosed as like just having ovarian cysts that needed to be monitored, but it was due to having endometriosis. So thank you to that technician that I didn't have to get a laparoscopy to get diagnosed with endometriosis. But for, you know, the most cases, people have to go in to get that laparoscopy to get that diagnosis, unfortunately.
Wow. Okay. So I appreciate you being
Yeah,
honest and vulnerable with
yeah.
this. I think this is that's really important. And I would say the whole like fertility, infertility thing is really important to me now. Now that my wife is
Oh,
pregnant, we're expecting a baby
oh,
boy here in a few weeks. And we'll say,
congratulations.
thank you. I am
Yeah,
41 and I've learned more about the women's reproductive system in the last year than I have the first 40
yeah,
years of my life. That's for sure.
yeah,
And honestly, like the older I got, the more I heard how miscarriages were so common. I had no idea. I felt like that was
yeah.
like, I mean, it's very personal, right? So I can understand why
Mm-hmm.
it's kept a secret. People don't talk about it, but I feel like the more people talk about it, the more it's kind of normal, the more community can come together and, lift women up and families up. And so I
Yeah,
appreciate you talking about miscarriages. I kind of want to hit real quick. I know one of your things is like resilience. Um,
yeah,
how do you go through something like that? Like when you find out you have endometriosis, when you find out that you have infertility issues, when you had a miscarriage, like that's quite a journey there. And I can see why you said you're battling depression.
yeah.
Okay, life coach, tell me what you kind of like tell me
Yeah.
like what you tell yourself. Like, how did you get through that? How did you feel? Like, I want to connect to the listeners now that are like, I've gone through this. I know someone who's gone through this or whatever. Like, tell me how you felt and then kind of tell me how you got out of that.
All right. Thank you for asking that question. It was really a dark period of my life. As you can tell, I'm a very upbeat person. And I just imagine me just not like this and not myself. Like literally the saddest person you can ever meet. Like I couldn't find joy in life. I cried every day, literally every night just to go to bed. I was drinking a lot of alcohol to mask, like my emotions because I couldn't handle it. Like I couldn't like process this whole thing in my mind of like, why is this happening to me? So I got trapped in the victim mindset of
Mm,
everything is against me. Everything sucks. Life hates me. God hates me. And they're punishing me. And I thought it was like a karmic thing or something, like all the bad things that I've done in my life. But I'm a very good person. I don't do anything bad. So I just got trapped in this victim mindset, and finally, a year and a half of this like crying, depressed state, my twin sister actually told me something that I needed to hear and not what I wanted to hear, right? So like everybody's always been like, yeah, you're gonna be a mom. Don't worry. And it's like, of course you don't believe that. But she said something. She's like, so Kathy, are you actually doing everything in your power to like make this happen for yourself to be a mom? And she's like, you're not really acting like who you are. And I was like, and at the time when she said that, it made me cry even more. And I was like, wow, how can you be so insensitive for saying this? But then I reflected and I really took that harsh, and I took it in and I processed it, and I was like, okay, wow, am I like, no, I'm not doing everything in my power. So I started empowering myself. I felt like something in me, like, this is not me. I need to do something. I need to change my life. So I reflected, and then I started changing the way I ate, right? I started eating more. Like I actually went on a bean protocol. I did a bunch of research on endometriosis. I was like, what is this disease? What do I have? And what can I do? And in my mind, I was like, okay, so I'm Chinese, so I knew like our heritage back in the days, like what did our ancestors do? They had to take herbs or something. Like there has to be something. So I started just doing a bunch of holistic research, and then I quit drinking. Obviously, that is not helpful to with fertility. And so I changed my mindset. It was really just changing something. And, my sister activated something in me. So once I took my power back and stopped having that victim mindset that everything was against me, I was like, okay, in my core being, I'm going to try everything in my power. And as long as I can say I tried everything in my power and it didn't happen for me, then I know it didn't happen for me. Like, then I just know, but I couldn't just sit around and just let life, and just let it be because that's not who I was. And I've
Mm.
always been a go getter. I've always been able to obtain anything that I want in life. And even though, yes, it may seem like a kid is never up to you, right? It's like whatever the God gives you, but at least I can say I tried everything in my power, like through my diet, through, changing my mindset and um, adding meditation and, working out, just understanding, researching. That was the main thing. And I think a lot of us get stuck in the victim mindset where you don't want to do anything, you don't want to help yourself. And then you just go and you fall more and more in a dark place. And
Yeah.
yeah,
You
I was
reminded
able to come
me
out of that.
you reminded me of like the saying like life happens to or for you, not to you. It's
Yes.
all about your mindset.
Yes.
For the people that don't have a sister like yours,
Yeah.
what do you tell them? Like how do you get them to that aha moment?
Yeah. That's a great question. It's true. So even if you don't have a sister, we have so many resources out there. Like, find somebody that you can vibe with. Like, someone may not vibe with me, but, like, there's someone that you look up to, right? There's someone positive or some positive person in your life, and just like focus on that. What are they saying? How are they acting? How is their mindset being? Like, just taking somebody that you admire and want to learn from. And when you do immerse yourself into their mindset and their world, then you'll start changing your mindset slowly but surely. Like, yeah, it's not going to be one day, but if you want the intention of wanting to better your life or wanting to change something about it, right? And you don't know where to even begin, I think that's where a lot of us get stuck. It's just trying to immerse yourself into something that makes you feel good, that makes you, that gives you happiness and joy. And that's where you can just begin.
Hmm. I saw a video a few months ago. I was telling my wife about this, where it says the caption was like the ultimate compliment, and I was like, "All right, well, I gotta watch what this is." And this girl walks over to this girl that she clearly knows, and whoever's recording it for whatever reason, was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like." She goes, when I'm like having like a really tough time driving or something like that, I'm getting scared, I'm getting nervous or something like that. She goes, I channel my dad because he stays calm. He's a great driver. I channel him under pressure. And she said something about like when I get nervous or I get scared of doing something, I forget what it was. She goes to this girl, she goes, I channel you. And I would just want to let you know that. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that
Yes.
gave me the feels. I'm like, that is kind of like the ultimate compliment for somebody that's like, I channel what you would do at that moment.
Yeah.
Wow. So I kind of related to kind of what you said, like somebody that you kind of like look up to and someone has like positive
Yeah.
mindset and stuff like that. So maybe that's the person that you want to channel is the person that you want to
Yes.
reach out to.
Exactly. That's great. That's perfect. That's exactly what it is. It's just channeling. And, when you are stuck in like a victim mindset, you're channeling like the negativity. So you got to channel someone positive so you can go towards that direction, right? You're not going to pick a negative person. You're going to channel that negative person. You're never going to come out of the state that
Mhm.
you're in.
I want to talk to you as well about was it just like a flip of a switch and you were good to go? Hey, I'm gonna start working out. I ain't gonna change my diet. Hey, I'm gonna do all this stuff. Or was there struggles that came along with that? Was it a gradual turnaround?
So for me, I'm like a gung ho person. So actually, it wasn't gradual. I kind of went all in. I was like, I'm going to go all in.
You're very black
But
and white. You're black and white. That's how I am though.
no,
So
not mostly black and white, but in general, like my health journey. So I'm a health coach, but I even before I became a health and life coach, I've been on a health journey. So I used like 10 years ago, I started working out, going to the gym. That's when I started learning about my health. And then I went on a paleo diet, And that kind of gave me the beginning of my health um, journey. But so like when I went through infertility and, depression, I had to bring those skills back that I learned from before, and then, bring it back into that present moment. So, I had to go on a very strict bean protocol, which I found was, I don't know, somehow I came upon that, where you just eat a bunch of beans, but like beans, like fiber in general, help release like a lot of toxins in your body, and it gets it out of, through your bile. So that's like the main point about that. And so when you have endometriosis, you have more toxins than other people, because it's just like the art structure of our body, and like, we just can't filter things out correctly. And so that's where epigenetics come in, and where like your surroundings and whatever you eat, or whatever, toxins that surround you, and how much you're exposed to, like, can activate those endometrial cells. So it's like a lot of that. So I had to do a lot of research, but it took a whole year of doing this, like trials and tribulations too. It's hard. Like, trust me, being on a protocol is not easy, right? Like, who wants to like be restricted on having fun and not being able to eat? But my goal, right, the bigger picture of what I'm sacrificing for this moment in time, is going to give me the goal and the big picture of me being a mom or having my child. So, it was tough. I did not go out for a whole year. I just focused on myself, my health, and just my husband and I just focused on each other. So I did have to sacrifice a lot, but it just, in order to gain something that you truly want, is it worth it for you, right? It's really up to you. So I
Mm.
didn't, you know, travel. I didn't go, do any fun things. I just was really focused on what I could do to maximize and get the goal that I wanted. So it was really tough. It was a very tough year. I'm not going to lie, but through it all, I did get the outcome that I wanted. So I just proved to myself, like, if I was determined to do anything, like, this is possible. And this is why I like to share my journey, because it's like, if I did the impossible, like, anybody else can too. I'm not special. It's like, I'm another human being. I just went through an experience, and I literally put it to the test to see, and the outcome ended up being the way I wanted. And I just never foresaw that coming, but I just
Mm.
had a lot of faith in myself. I had a lot of faith and hope that the universe or God, whatever you believe in, is going to help me out if I really try. And that's what I just try to grasp on to, that little hope. And sometimes it just takes that little hope to get you going.
What if the outcome wasn't what you wanted? How would you have worked with your mindset then?
Yeah, that would have been tough. I think I would have really had to sit with myself. So, like, when I didn't get the outcome with my miscarriage after having my IVF procedure, I cried. I cried literally for like 10 days straight in bed, and I was just emotionally shut off. But after that, I was like, okay, life still goes on. And I had to believe and trust in my journey and what my sole purpose was in this lifetime. And if it wasn't to be a mom, then okay, like I told you, if I did everything in my power and that didn't happen, it's not meant for me, then I had to let that go, and I have to accept that. But
Mm.
of course, you're going to be in pain, but you have to come to realization, and resilience comes in, where you just know that everything's going to be okay in the end.
If you don't mind me asking, I
Yep.
want to connect with my audience on this question as
Yes.
well. What type of stress, what kind of stress did this infertility and these issues cause on your marriage? And how did you work through that in a relationship?
Yeah, it was so tough. Like, I think it was one of the toughest things that we ever had to go through, but it actually brought us closer, to be honest, because we never lived together. We were together for 12 years, um, but we just never lived together. We lived with our parents. And so we actually came together after marriage, and then had to go through infertility right after. This brought us actually closer, but it was really hard. And I got to see the softer side of my husband. He's not a very emotional person, but he was trying to be supportive. And he was so stressed out. I could tell too, but he was trying to stay strong for me. But, we were a team. We really were a team at this point. And, I wanted to give him his own space or whatever he needed, but he always showed up. And to be honest, he was great. He was a great support. The only time though during IVF, I'm not gonna lie, he hates giving shots, and we got in
Uh,
a huge argument the first time we ever had to get, you know, through IVF. You have to give shots. The doctors don't do that for you. So he was so nervous. So we both got in a big argument because I was like, you should do this for me. Like, I don't want to poke myself. Like, I don't want to stab myself. Okay. Like, I already have to go through so much. And then he's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to hurt you. So like we kind of fought over that. And I was like, but in the end, we calmed down and we're like, okay. And I asked him, I was like, do you really want this? Do you want to try? And then we both reflected and we're like, okay, yes, we really want to try. And then, we calmed down and he actually gave me the shot. So he became a pro after that.
that's awesome. Was
Yeah, but it was
was
really tough.
was there at some point an expectation like, hey, maybe just kids just aren't for us, and you had that conversation like,
Yeah,
you know,
I did. And it was hard because I'm the person who wants to see every point of view. And it was hard because he's the eldest son and his parents don't have grandbabies. So he would be the one to give them grandkids. So that was a lot of pressure too for me. And I was like, what happens if I can't give you a kid? And he's like, okay, well, we can adopt, or we just don't, or we're just not parents and it's okay.
mhm,
So and it felt good for me and, confirmation for me that he wasn't giving me pressure, which was great. Like I was just giving myself pressure. And I was like, how about your parents? And he was like, don't worry about my parents. It's not about them. It's about us. And it's about, me and you. So that was a great thing. So that's why, again, it showed another part of him like, wow, like, that I didn't expect. So he didn't put a lot of stress or pressure on me, which was really beautiful. And looking back now, I'm like, wow, he was so supportive and so sweet. Like I got really lucky with him.
mhm. That's
So
great. That's why I married him. That's why
yeah.
he said yes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I appreciate you answering these questions
Yeah.
because I want to bring out like behind the scenes, behind closed doors, what people and couples go through, the conversations that they have, the tough ones, and how you get over
Yeah.
it, and how you discuss it, and how you discuss it in a healthy manner. Um,
Yeah.
because like I said, like with like miscarriages and stuff like this, like people just don't talk about it. They keep it behind closed doors, and no one
Yeah.
knows. I think everyone's relationship is better than theirs, and everyone's like smooth sailing. But I don't know. It's refreshing to hear these stories, and it's relatable as well,
Yeah.
because no relationship is perfect. Um, Expectations are a dangerous word when everyone's expecting just happiness and smooth sailing, and life happens, right? So it is really nice to have these conversations with you. It's nice to have like life coaches to help get through those moments. One thing you hit on that I kind of want to touch on real quick is when you said victim mindset. You had a victim mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I have someone close to me, and I'm not going to go down that road right now, but I have someone close to me that very much is a victim mindset. How do you deal with people with victim mindset, whether it was you yourself or whether someone that you had to coach someone through a whole scenario of dealing with someone with a victim mindset?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. That's really tough, right? Because when someone's in that victim mindset, they're stuck on that. But you have to see it from where is this person at? Are they ready to overcome this victim mindset? Are they open-minded, or are they even aware that they're being this way? And some people are not even aware. And when you try to point it out, they feel like you're attacking them, right? And like, whoa, what are you
That's
doing?
my
So, and
situation. Just so let's
yeah,
that is definitely
yeah.
it.
So when you have that type of person, you can't help them because they don't want to be helped, right? Like
Mm,
there's no way you're going to be able to communicate anything because they just don't want to. They want to be stuck in the victim mindset, right? Like that's just who they are. And so for me, if my sister told me in the very beginning, like that I had a victim mindset, like the first 2, 3 months, I'm not gonna listen because I'm gonna be like, no, I'm not, right? And then it took like a year later or whatever, a year and a half later for her to say that, then something clicked because I've been in it for so long. But it just depends on like if that person's ready for it and if they are willing to be aware or want to listen to advice. And, I have someone around me that has the victim mentality and victim mindset all the time. And, as and this is where I had to learn the hard lesson. Like, I was like, I'm giving you free advice. I'm trying to help you change your perspective, your mindset. But that person just won't do it. They will not change because that's their lesson to be learned, and one day they will have something click. But, if they're stuck in that state of not wanting to change, then you can't do that. You can't do anything for them. And that's really tough. And I think I saw a quote like the other day is like, if someone's not willing to change, even if you try everything in your power, it's not your lesson to learn. It's their lesson that they need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, okay, fine. But like, I want to, but it's the ourselves trying to control or trying to help, but that's their lesson and their path that they need to learn, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I've been waiting years for that to click. Still not clicking. Still an issue. It's stress on me, pressure on me, not pressure on my family. It's just yeah, dealing with somebody with the victim mentality. I mean, you're right. It's kind of like when someone sets a goal to, I don't know, stop smoking, stop drinking, lose weight or whatever. It's kind of like their decision. You can't force them to do it. They have to
Yeah.
want to do it and they have to follow through. But getting this person to actually see they have a victim mindset has just been like mind blowing. It's just nothing is wrong with them. I
Mm-hmm.
am attacking when I bring it up. Yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
crazy difficult situation to navigate. So I was
Yeah.
just I was curious to know. And so your sister pushed your button at the right time. Was she
Yeah.
kind of always dabbling around trying to get you to see this, or how'd that work?
I I mean we used to talk. We're very close. She's my twin sister, so we're very close. And usually she would say something supportive like, okay, everything's gonna happen. And then I think out of the blue she says something random, right? Like something, and then I was like, something clicked. Like, what? Why did you say something so different? Like, that's not what I was expecting. Right.
Mm,
So I think that hit more because when something, you're expecting something the same all the time, that's the same outcome. But since she says something different, that caused and clicked something, and I was like, okay, and then that made me do a different outcome, if that makes sense, like have a
mm,
different mindset or view. And so in general though, I think I was ready to come out of this too. I think like I just knew something in me was like, I want something to change. Like, I can't, keep going down this path of like being sad, depressed, crying, and doing the same thing of like, having the pregnancy test, like testing every month to get negative. Like, that's just not helpful in general. Like, I was like, okay, that needs to be stopped. Like, something needs to change.
mm.
So I think I already had started having something like in me wanting to change. And then when she said that, that like really clicked for me. So again, it comes down to like yourself wanting to change and wanting something different for yourself.
Appreciate you sharing that. That's
Yeah.
yeah, really good to hear. I'm hoping that day happens for my situation
Yes.
soon. Um,
Yeah.
but thank you for going through this whole scenario. I've had numerous coaches on my podcast, and I think like the best coaches are the ones that have gone through it themselves so they can relate to all their clients. And a conversation like this is very relatable. It's not like, oh, I help people out with their stressful life when my life has been great since day one. It's not quite
Yeah.
as impactful, I guess you can say. So I want to talk about you and your mission. So you have what's called a bliss soft life. That is your mission, correct? You're smiling.
Yes.
It's like, bam, you're smiling. I love it. Would you like to explain what that is?
Yes. So it's like kind of like a pun, but I call it the BS life. And it's not the regular BS that you think, right? It's the blessed off life. And so my journey through infertility and, depression, etc., it made me tap into my spiritual side more. So like now I have been really spiritual and on a spiritual journey. And I think that's why I've had to go through that dark period of time But when you're living a bliss off life, think about it. Like when you're just so blissful, a lot of us don't live a blissful life. We're always stressed out. We're full of anxiety. We're full of worry. We're full of what to do, like lists all day long, right? Like we're just always in the fast paced world. But when you slow down, sit in the present moment, and really truly remind yourself of how amazing and powerful and like this soul amazing being that we are, you're just more blissful. Okay. Like life just becomes more blissful because you're looking at life differently. Your perspective in life is, more opened. And so when you're like this and you're this bliss state, everything in life is just literally so much softer. Like it does not have to be hard. Like I said, it doesn't have to be like push, 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 overwhelm, anxiety, stress that we're all used to, right? And you're not going to compare yourself to other people. You're just going to like love yourself more. You're just going to, appreciate and love everything and just be more of a grateful person. And I feel like a lot of us just literally take every little thing we have for granted. And I was one of them, right? Like I took my health for granted. Um, like so in my 20s, I didn't really care about my health until I went through infertility. And then I was like, okay, wow, my health is really important, right? So like all these little things, even having like clean water, a house over our roof, like just being grateful in life is just gonna make your life so much bliss and so much softer. And so this is my how my mission came about. I just been wanting to empower people, but for some reason I don't know, like these two words or these three words combined just came to me one day. I was just having coffee and then I just had like a thought. I was like, hey, I've been trying to preach about living a bliss off life. And then I was like, okay, I guess that's it. That's my mission. I just knew it in my heart that that was it. And I call it the BS life, which made it even more fun and more punny for me, which that shows my personality. If you don't know me, like I love joking and always having these puns. So it just fit perfectly. I don't, it just happened.
Perfect. That's awesome. I have written down here, I want you to dive into this for me. We
Yes.
have cultivating resilience,
Yes.
mindful manifestation, and embracing authenticity. What do those mean to you?
So embracing authenticity is, like I said, knowing that you're this amazing soul being, just loving every part of yourself, loving every part of the journey that you have to go through. So like, me being like not loving who I was as a kid, but now I'm just so in love with the person I've become because I've built resilience. I know that I'm this true amazing being. I know that God or source or whatever the universe is there to help me. There's always something. And it truly happened for me, right? Like through my journey of infertility, it literally proved to me. And I really believe that it's all like that for everybody's journey. If you truly want something and know that you're this amazing being or whatever, your goal can happen if that's what you truly want, but you have to like know that and then go for it, take action and build that. And that's where manifestation comes in too. So when you are working on yourself, you're raising your vibration, you're just being like this amazing being, you're just portraying this beautiful light. So we're all energy. We are literally all energy. So, everything that we are like talking or listening to or anything, right? That actually, either lowers our vibration or it enhances and upgrades our vibration. So, when you work on yourself, you're raising your vibration and that's just being who you are. And so you get to be authentically you. And it's life is supposed to be soft. It's not supposed to be hard like what we're taught as a society, right? So it's like unlearning all of what we've been accustomed to learn, which is hard. But when
Mhm.
you do that, though, when you have a new perspective in life, life is literally more beautiful and you just become more happy, which equals bliss.
I love that. And unlearn, I think, is like a word that I've said, God knows how many times on my podcast so far. It is hard. It's hard to teach somebody something new. It is 10 times harder to have them on to learn something first and then teach them something new. And you're 100% right. Like, unlearning is it's so difficult. And I have these conversations all the time with like family and or friends, especially like older family, as in like science figures out new things with like nutrition and what
Yeah.
we were taught to eat as kids is absolutely freaking terrible to be eating now. And um, hey, like I work for a company called Element. We do a lot with sodium and salt and electrolytes and stuff like that. Getting like the older population to have more sodium in their diet is kind of like, no, I was taught that that's going to give me high blood pressure and heart attack and stuff like that. And it's like, no, no, that's not the case. We've actually proven this now. And so, yeah, unlearning is a very, very difficult task. Which
Yeah.
leads me into my next question. When someone comes to you, they're in a really bad place, and say, "Hey, Kathy, I'm ready. I want a life coach. I don't know where to start. What's step number one? What do I do first? What would you tell them?"
I would say literally start being aware. So number one, how are you like what being aware of like how your mindset is. That's the first thing. So like, understanding someone's perspective. How are they viewing everything? So are they having the victim mindset? Which part of the victim mindset? Like, is it are they at the very beginning of the victim mindset? Then I can't help them. But if they're ready to start something somewhere in the middle or at, when they're ready to really empower themselves and move forward, like where is their awareness at, and how is their perspective in life? So it's like that's why having a life coach is helpful, because we're here to listen and try to process and understand their point of view, and then we will give advice to that person, right, on how to change and start implementing tools and things to start changing that, their mindset. But it takes awareness, like how are you? And a lot of people don't even sit down to understand themselves. Like they're not even understanding of like what triggers them, right? Like
Mm,
if someone might say one word, or like they might see something on Instagram and like, right, like they always compare themselves to other people, that's triggering. Like why are you doing that to yourself? Are you even aware that you're scrolling? And like they don't know that intentionally scrolling to feel terrible, literally that's what you're doing, to depending on who you're following, by the way. So like, me, I follow all these inspirational people. I don't like get jealous, but like some people follow other friends and they get jealous of their life, etc., right? But you're
mm,
literally going to Instagram to hate on yourself, right? But people are not aware of that. They don't even know that. So it's like being intentional aware. That's the first step. And then we work on second is self-love. To be honest, everybody should be doing more of this. And I tell this to everybody that I meet is self-love is the most critical thing that you can do for yourself. It raises your vibration. That's what we should all be doing on a daily basis. And it's literally the emotional aspect. So like you loving your wife, your newborn baby, like that love that you're going to have, you need to give that emotional love back to yourself. And a lot of us don't do that. We do not love ourselves, not even like 2% of that, right?
mm,
We're always the harshest on ourselves. But honestly, loving yourself is one of the most like, hardest things that we do. And I'm not gonna lie, like for me at first I was like, what, loving myself? Like, what, I'm not supposed to people please and like worry about other people, and I had to unlearn that, through my experience of infertility. Again, that's why I think the universe wanted me to have go through infertility and depressions and have endometriosis to really learn self-love and to love myself, because I always grew up people pleasing, worrying and caring about other people. But it doesn't have to take a lot of work. The one thing tip, or the best thing I tell everybody is literally start looking at yourself in the mirror and just start hugging yourself
mm,
and like saying nice positive words to yourself. I know it may sound weird at first, but I think it's such a powerful tool. Like physical hugging yourself is a different level than just speaking positive words to yourself. Because like there's a quote somewhere like saying our human body needs like love and affection, and we when we give hugs, like it helps us out, like it helps our nervous system out. So why can't we do that for ourselves? Like you literally can hug yourself and you can feel the vibrational like goodness to it. And so when you're being intentional saying this and you do it daily every day, you'll start like seeing yourself more in a better light, and you'll start being happier. And it's just like these little changes in your daily life can help, right? Instead of scrolling on Instagram, go give yourself some love and tell me, is there going to be a difference, right?
Love that. Love that. My next question, you segued right into it perfectly because my next question was daily habits. So you just gave me one. Is there
Yes.
daily habits that you do or you would suggest for other people to do?
Yes. So everything that I do myself, and this is why I always preach about what I do. I can't tell people something that I've never done, you know? So I try to test it on myself, and everything that I do is intentional, and when I tell you about it, it's because I'm doing it myself. So daily, yes, give yourself hugs, guys. Like that is one of the best things you can do. Self-care things, like anything that can help with your physical, emotional well-being, like meditating. I love meditating. I know it sounds like cliche. Everybody's like meditating nowadays, right? But it really is. It's important to just like sit with yourself. And that's the hard part, right? And everything that you have resistance on, that means that it's something that you need to do. Like
Hmm.
if your body's saying, oh no, this is not for me, it's like, okay, yes, this is for you. You've been probably on fight and fight mode way too long. You need to sit down and train your body to sit there, because like we're all animals, like we're an animal being, right? So we just like training a freaking dog or something to just sit there, right? Why do we train dogs to sit there? We need to do that to ourselves, because you need to just sit quiet, not be on the go all the time. So I think meditating is a great way to just start understanding yourself too. Like when you sit in quiet, you know, like thoughts start coming and like you just start feeling things. It's an experience. Like, yeah, people say to sit in quiet, but it's like actually it's not quiet. It's like you're connecting to something else, and you'll start seeing and feeling things which you're just like, whoa, I never knew that I could do this. So it's a beautiful journey. So this is what I do daily. Just even 5 minutes, like 5 minutes. Start with five, and then you can work your way up. And I tell people like, when you're ready to like bump up more of your meditation, it was when like you sit there for 5 minutes, you're like, whoa, that went by so fast. Is it? Then you're
Hmm.
ready to bump up. You're like, all right, let's do 10, and then keep going. And then you'll know like what a good time frame is for you. Another great one is practicing gratitude. I said it in the beginning. I was like, literally every morning, I wake up and say three things I'm grateful for. And mostly it's always the same. Like I'm grateful for my daughter, I'm grateful for my husband, I'm grateful for my house. And then sometimes, I'll say I'm like grateful for my friends and family. But those are like the main ones that I always go to. Like you can switch it up, whatever, but being grateful, waking up, already starting the day with this intention of gratefulness, you're already raising the vibration. You're already setting yourself for a better mood, a better day, because you're not taking your phone first thing and again scrolling to get that negative, right, feeling.
Hmm.
So I don't do that. I straight up start with gratitude and then like my phone. Then um that's one of the best ways. And another thing that I do every morning is to drink water. I drink like a liter of water or whatever, as much water as I can fill. Because when you wake up, you're sleeping all night, you're not you're not like hydrating your body. The first thing you want to do is just drink clear water, rinse out all the toxins, and like hydrate your body. And it really helps with your skin too. Like you'll see it in your skin. I'm not lying.
Hmm.
I'm like 30, I'm 35, but like my skin is still good. I don't do products or anything. Like, I think water is very helpful if you want to stay.
Love it.
Yes. So I think that's great. Like just emotional well-being and physical and mental is so important, all three. So this is why I think like the holistic approach to life is super important. And I just don't want people always just focusing on the physical, like our society focuses on, right? Like getting abs and like getting all muscular, etc. Right? It's like more to that. If you're emotionally and mentally like happy, like you'll be more happier in your body. And it doesn't matter what your body looks like. I mean, yes, it's great to work out, etc. But the goal is to always try to be the happiest, you know, healthiest version of yourself. And we're all different. So that's another thing, being authentically you, just being happy and like not comparing yourself. Like, okay, this person has a six pack, I want to have a six pack. Like, no. Or like the Kardashians, everybody's like, I want to be a Kardashian. Like, no, you don't have to be a Kardashian. You could be you, and you're amazing who you are. And so I think that's what I really, really want people to really get into the habit of thinking about. Like, just try to be you. Don't try to be somebody else. And it takes work. It's a lot of work. It's
It
hard,
does.
but
It really does, especially this day and
it's
age.
worth it.
Social media, everything's at your fingertips. But you're right, comparison's the thief of joy. I've been saying that a lot recently, that's for sure. Kathy, you've been awesome. I want you to talk real quick about your podcast and where people can find your podcast.
Yes. So it's on my website at www.kathymao.com, or you can even stream it on Apple or Spotify as well.
We'll talk about it. What
Oh,
topics do you cover for people that are like, hey, I love this
yes.
girl. I want to listen to more.
Oh. So it's called Ignite Your Power, and I actually started it before I came up with my Bliss Off Life concept, but it really is literally igniting your power, igniting your fire inside of you. And so I teach people how to overcome anything adversity in their life, and I give you tips, tools, like pretty much what I told you guys today, but more in depth about each topic. And I talk about my Bliss Off Life concept more so, and how to actually navigate it and apply it into your daily life. Um, and it's just a place where you can really learn and try to remember who your soul amazing being that you are, and just trying to live the best authentic life that you can, full of bliss and softness.
Love it. And what about like Instagram and social media? How can people follow you?
Yes. So on Instagram, my handle is Kathy.Mao, or on TikTok or Facebook, it's Kathy Mao without the dot.
Awesome. And for everything you just said, I'm going to link in the show notes. So if people are like, oh my God, what, huh? Just scroll on the show notes. You can click on it. You can follow you. Kathy, I appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate you just being honest and vulnerable with your story, with your journey. That is how you're going to connect with people, is just being honest, being real, being raw, and letting people know that they're not the only ones going through what they're going through. So for people listening to this, if you have a story to share, if you've gone through something, definitely reach out to me. Definitely reach out to you as well. Um,
Yes.
that's what people need to hear more of. We were just talking about social media, about scrolling on social media, comparing your life to others. Not everybody's life is a highlight reel. Most people's lives are not highlight reels. You only see the highlights or what they want you to see. And so I want people to know that they're not alone. I want them to reach out to me. I want them to follow me, follow you. And yeah, we got to have more of these real, honest, and raw conversations. So, Kathy, I really, really appreciate it. Everybody, go follow her, go check out her podcast. And we'll have to have you back on in the future. We'll talk about parenting techniques and parenting tips.
Yes, would love that. Thank you again, and I'm so honored for like meeting you and you letting me be on this platform to be vulnerable and share my story, because like I say, sharing your story is the best way to like teach people,
It
because
really
that's
is.
how they can learn, or even connect and be like, oh, that's me, and then I can do this, right? So thank
100%.
you so much, and
Absolutely.
congratulations
Thank
on your
you.
baby.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.